Live in your life.
Yeah.
Live.
Why does it do that?
I don't know.
Oh my God. Misses everything.
Yeah, that's kind of annoying.
Yeah. And then it doesn't go away for us. Seems like forever. Okay. So what do I do now? There we are. Okay, a little bit. Thank you. All right, we are live. Hello, you Rich Girl Workshop friends. Thanks for being on today. Thanks for watching. Either it's on YouTube that you are coming to this podcast, or you are Rich Girl Facebook Live. So thank you. And you know that every single week we've been talking about things that matter in your life and things that can make a difference. Well, this week is absolutely no exception, as we have a really great friend of mine and person that I love to emulate and watch how she works and lives. You know, there's no better compliment I think that anybody can ever get than to mentor someone and have them be an example. And this woman, this leader, this wife, mother is all of the above. So she has a topic today that I think that we all need to hear. And I'm not going to waste a lot of time, but I want to tell you a little bit about Deb Wehrer. Okay, she has risen to the very, very top of her career, and she has done it through some obstacles. And she's done life with some obstacles. So she's perfect to talk about how to overcome some obstacles in your life, your career, your business, everything. Okay, this 15 minutes is going to be awesome, you guys. But I do want to tell you a couple of other things. She is married to a really handsome, wonderful man named Mike. She has 2 young adult children. They live in Parker, Colorado. And she is willing to speak on this subject. And you're going to love this. So if you're on live, welcome. Okay, because I know we've been like delaying this broadcast a couple of times. But if you're on live, feel free to just chat away, you guys. Okay, so I want to introduce you to my friend Deb Wehrer, and she's going to talk about overcoming some obstacles. And Deb, I know that in your life, you have not avoided obstacles. In fact, they've made you really the leader and the woman that you are today. So what would you have to share with some overcoming, and what kind of advice would you give to others? So I'm going to let you take it away, my friend.
All right, Suzanne. Well, thank you. And to know Suzanne is to love Suzanne. And so what an honor to get to be with you today. But I can tell you that, I don't think anything great that we'll ever do in this life is ever accomplished without having obstacles and having things that will refine you along the way. And some of it is, great, and some of it is not as great, but it definitely builds character. And one of the things that I've always said, and especially working with people, it's a constant state of change, but I've always believed that, people truly rise to the occasion, especially women. I think women really can rise to the occasion, but I think that there's some real great skill-based things that people can do to be able to handle obstacles. I think one of my biggest obstacles that I had to overcome early in my career was a deserve level, learning to embrace what God had given me and truly be okay, that it was okay to be successful. When we built our first home, I can remember moving into that home and feeling like, oh, wow, maybe I don't deserve this, because we were raised very modestly. I grew up in Wyoming, and we never did without. My mom was so resourceful, but we never had a lot. And so the biggest thing about when my career started to take off was, when my parents came to visit our first home. And I remember so vividly, crying and being worried before they got there, even though that is not either my mom or my dad, and God rest my dad's soul, but it is one of those situations where it made me feel like maybe I didn't deserve it. And it really made me start to pull back a little bit and think, well, I shouldn't want to make great money, or I shouldn't want to, live in a really nice home, because maybe that is just being too prideful and too, too material. And so I did for a while. And so I sought out a counselor at the advice of some good friends. And she helped me understand that it is vital for you to really accept everything And I think it's good to have a Christian-based counselor that aligns with your faith, so that you get advice that is definitely congruent with how you live and how you believe. And so this particular counselor shared with me about how vital it is to walk through doors and go places so that you literally can take others with you. And that upping your deserve level in terms of the fact that it's okay to be successful, it's okay to make great money, it's okay to have nice things. And, when my parents came, they couldn't have been more proud of us, for, being able to build our first home, and then, being able to build our second home. And they were so proud of us, and nothing of what I had built up in my mind about, the fact that, maybe I would make them feel bad, or, I did not want them in any way to feel less than. That was not at all how they felt. I had built up these ideas in my mind that they would feel and think a certain way, and I couldn't have been more wrong. But my counselor actually helped me see that when you're having trouble with a deserve level, that it is no other than the enemy, playing with you, really who God created you to be in the first place. And so it helped me embrace the gifts and talents that truly were given to me by my heavenly Father. And it helped me understand that if I were to have a hold back mentality, that I literally was holding back other people too. And so for me to switch that thought process and take the focus away from myself, it literally made me think, if I don't walk through this door, how many others won't walk through the door either? And so that is really, probably one of the biggest obstacles, especially early on, that I started to come up with.
Mm. Excellent, excellent. I love what you said about when you're holding yourself back mentally, you're actually holding back other people as well. And nothing will help us learn that lesson more than to actually see it happen either with our kids or with people that we are in a leadership role with, or really any walk of life. So I would ask you, because you have faced a lot of obstacles in every single area of your life, is what are some of the things that you feel specifically that you would do differently, or that you would advise the listeners on the Rich Girl series to do differently or to think differently? And you've said a lot already, so I really want you to say more on that.
Uh, well, I think that obstacles, and especially when you learn to really embrace them and love every piece of life that is given to you, even the hard stuff, it helps you operate on a different level or frequency. It helps you embrace and not be bitter in any way. And I believe that, when you truly, truly embrace the obstacle and look at it as a learning lesson, it puts you uh, in a student mode and not a victim mode. It puts you in a mode of being able to process. I mean, for me, coping skills, and especially this last year, it has become even more evident to me how valuable coping skills are. Coping skills and overcoming obstacles to me has always been a mental game. And when you're having hard times, you have got to tap in deeper and harder to your faith, and also to your mental game. And things that fuel your soul have to be a very consistent part of your life. I think that of all the obstacles, and I'm going to think about, for instance, all the fertility testing we went through, and how it was so difficult to have our family. And I go back, and emotionally, it can bring me to tears every time. But I can remember how, positive self-talk during that time would help me. Consistent exercise every single day, no matter how I felt, because being on those drugs at that time during, all that fertility testing, that was just a really different thing. I'm not a big, take anything. I take vitamins, and that's about it. And so to kind of have those mind altering hormone drugs, I mean, it was really hard for me. So I had to up my game with my spiritual life. I had to up my game with my my exercise, which I call my therapy. And it is a non-negotiable. Every single day it happens for me. And I love to get outside. I love to, you know, do a lot of prayer and affirmation and a lot of self-talk while I'm out and about. But my morning routine, and I think that this is where pivoting, and I mean, pivoting and pandemic should be completely melded together in my mind. And, you know, find things that literally make you feel like it's okay. It's soothing. I call them soothing agents. Literally kind of like a pacifier, like pacifier pacifies a baby. It's no different as an adult. You have to find your ground level, your foundation level of what's going to make, you know, hard situations okay. And so seeking out, I mean, you also have to seek out mentors. I mean, Suzanne has been a mentor for me so many different times, in some of my hardest times. And, you know, I seek out mentors that will not allow you to wallow in it, but, you know, help you to move through it and help you to understand that maybe it is, you know, something that you truly need to learn, but also maybe there's a time and point in time where when you're working with people, you have to find boundaries and set those boundaries and, you know, be okay to release and understand that people will be in your life for a season, reason, or a lifetime. And know that I truly, truly, I'm sorry about that. Truly, oh, that's what's hard about having everything networked sometimes. Um, but it is definitely one of the things that I believe that I've had to do because of the different situations that I've been in, even in just the last 5 years. Hard things that you know, definitely came upon us. I mean, this past September, we had lost my husband's father and my stepdad within 3 days. And 8 years ago, we lost my dad, and we had a wedding within 5 days. And so learning to find things that are soothing agents, pacifiers. I mean, it's a visual for you, but not treating yourself like a baby, but treating yourself like you can move through this and that you can pivot to power.
Pivot to power, that is excellent. You know, and I know a lot of people that are listening right now may be saying a couple of things in their mind. They may be saying, well, I'm not like Deb Wehrer. I don't have the culpability skills or the strength or whatever. And they maybe keep telling themselves that. The other group I think in here that, and I could be each actually one of them, is that it may not be the large obstacles or say challenges in our life. It's the little ones that keep adding up. You know, it's the little thing. It's like, I've always visualized the last straw that broke the camel's back kind of thing. And I feel like our viewing audience that listens to this, some of them are in both places. That one of comparing themselves, comparing their strengths or their talents or their whatever to maybe yours or mine. And well, I'm not them. Well, if I could be more like them. But you've given a lot of really good tips about keeping yourself healthy mentally and physically. So what would you tell the person who's just got like layers of small things that just keep compacting on top of them to the point where sometimes they freeze or they do nothing or they're going to wait until times get better? Okay. What advice would you give to that person?
Well, you know, no one can tell you better how fast life can change probably than Suzanne or I, as far as dealing with those small things and the layers. I write a lot. I have a journal. Actually, I have a couple of journals that I write on. I have one upstairs, one downstairs. I, you know, find ways to digest what is going on in my life and what is bothering me about that, because there's something so soothing and good about getting it out of here, out of here, out of your heart and out of your, you know, your digestive system, you know, just get it out. It literally is regurgitating it out on paper so that you can start to process it. And this was a skill that was given to me by that very first counselor when I was having the deserve level issues, showed me how valuable it is to be able to literally never let it get past here. You listen, and you chew on it a while, you listen. But she said, never let it get past here, because then you put it down on paper and start to find ways. Be a solution oriented person. I'll give you an example. Been very upset about my school situation from my high school senior son.
Yes.
So I called the principal and the superintendent just 2 weeks ago, and I said, I'm not calling to be a problem. I'm calling to be a solution oriented conversation. And I said, we need to talk about this. And, I had already, because over the last year, as he has hardly had any school other than e-learning, I've had to put things down on paper for myself so that I understand better exactly how I feel about it, but not letting it go into go to your heart or into your stomach, because that's where disease forms. And to stay healthy, you literally have got to keep those things from the neck up. And, it kind of is, we always joke about checkup from the neck up,
Mhm.
but finding ways not allow it to give you ulcers and I had ulcers when I was in college. I'll be the first one to tell you that. But it manifests. Your stress will manifest in ways in your body if you don't find ways to take care of those layers. So even if it's the little things that are bothering you, maybe it was a conversation or a statement that someone made to you, write it down and find out what could have been the possible meanings. Why would she have said that to me, or what did she mean by that? And write out all the possibilities of that particular situation. Or maybe it was something about how you felt about a parent. Write out, why would they have done that at that time? How has it made me feel? How can I overcome this feeling that I have about this? And without going and paying money for a counselor, you literally on paper can help yourself move through whatever obstacle or life situation. I mean, there's a lot of traumatic things
Yes.
that people deal with. And I just have to tell you that, even if you don't feel that you have the culpability skills, or you don't have, what you do have is you have your mind and you have your DNA, and God made you one. There is only a 1 in a 5 billionth chance there'd ever be a you. And so I would tell you, the biggest thing is, write it all out for yourself. And what's unique about you, what's amazing about you, and why can you overcome this? And that was what I was saying to the school when I was calling was, what can we do? What can happen that would be different? What is going to be the best, versus just complaining about the situation, because it doesn't make it any better. And so those are some ways, Suzanne, that I've found that
Wow.
I can help to digest and keep it from the neck up.
Well, this is packed full of really good suggestions. I particularly love what you said about the physical, exercising every day, because that's a great stress reliever. I think that you've talked about, really getting on this stuff and having some things that kind of pacify, but also relieve some stress. And then the last thing I want to really just say thank you for is journaling, because I used to journal a lot, but I was always afraid somebody would read that journal. And then I'm like, oh, I can't write that down. But then when I released that I could write whatever, however nasty, mean, whatever, or just sweet as can be, because, we're kind of a little bit of both, we're a little bit naughty and a little bit nice, but be able to purge so that it doesn't go into your being or into your psychic or your subconscious or whatever, purging it out. And I think that really helps in our prayer time too, is if you purged it out, then it also helps you to kind of really feel like what you want to pray in gratitude for, but you also what you want to pray over more. It kind of filters it all, doesn't it?
It really
I love that. And then do you ever go back and read what you've written like 2 years ago?
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. I mean, it's life-giving. Sometimes you're like, what, why would I say something like that? But it's life-giving because of the fact that you look back and you see, gosh, did I move through that?
Yeah. And also, I think that you will agree with me, because you have such a strong faith. And you definitely are a beautiful follower of our Christian faith. And I think in reflection, what we find is that we also see God's hand in things. That when you go back and you look at this, you see how God's hand was in every single thing, because the perspective changes, right? The perspective, that there were lessons from the obstacles that only you could get at that perfect moment. And yeah, there's some stuff that's happened. I mean, to every single one listening to this, watching this right now, there are things that you are not happy with. There are things that you are whatever with, but it's not necessarily some real positive emotion. However, if you do what Deb suggested today, especially, I mean, really take this on, you guys, take this on and journal. I think you'll all find, very interestingly enough, how God's hand was always in your life, and it will increase your faith. So any last comments you want to wrap up with, my friend? Thank you.
I just wanted to give everyone my 3 favorite, really one-liner thoughts or quotes. And the strongest steel is forged in the hottest fire. The brightest rainbows come after the hardest rains. And you don't go forward looking in the rearview mirror. And so those little one-liner quotes have helped me many, many times. And I've also heard that God only gives his hardest battles to his mightiest warriors. And I also will replay that in my brain if I'm having a hard time.
Yeah. Yep, that's good. I love what you've talked about today. I love that you talked about alone time too, and some spiritual time to help you reflect. I mean, this has been such a packed topic today that I know you're going to want to listen to it. Everybody out there, those rich girl people, several times. And as we thank Deb, feel free to put in the chat what you feel like you really gained from her today and what you plan on implementing, because that really helps us all, doesn't it? If you listen to something that just is like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I really want to do. Whether it was one thing or 3 or 5 things that she suggested, make a commitment to really use the tools that she has shown us all today, and then tell her what those were, because when you commit to something, you're so much more likely to do it if you actually told someone. All right, you guys, happy week to you. Next week we have another guest speaker on, and then April, it's back to a topic that I'm excited about, but I'll share that with you later. Deb Wehrer, thank you. I love you, my friend. I love you, my friend.
My friend.
And thank you for being a woman who I absolutely not only adore, but prizes a true treasure in my life. So thanks for recording with us today.
Yes, well, for sure. So blessed. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye for now.